All right. Today I want to talk about Hiroshi Sugimoto. He is a great contemporary photographer, definitely one of my favorites. Um, and while he's done kind of a lot of different types of things in the past, a lot of different types of projects, I think once we take a step back and look at them all together, we will find that, in fact, um, they are all kind of tributary to one big idea. So we're going to look at two of his projects in the course of this video. The first one is called Seascapes, and the second one is called Colors of Shadow. And there's probably going to be one quote unquote big idea that's going to be immediately evident. Um, but I want to discuss the possibility of there being another big idea the further on we get. So, again, the first is these seascapes. They do have kind of like a wonderful symmetry to them. Um, some of them are kind of intentionally out of focus and as a result become kind of studies in fields of tone. Some of them are more studies of texture. Um, but they are all photographs of the sea or large bodies of water in one way or another. And they do have this kind of beautiful meditative symmetry to them. Um, and definitely minimalism, right? There's definitely a minimalist aesthetic that he's using to approach these landscape, or I guess seascape, um, photographs. Next series is Colors of Shadow, and these were taken in his studio. His studio's in Manhattan. This is kind of early 2000s. The Seascapes came sooner, meaning he had kind of been working on them for a while by the time he started the Colors of Shadow series. But the Colors of Shadow, he used this specific type of paint on the walls of his studio in Manhattan, and that paint is specifically designed to kind of spread sunlight rather than reflect it directly. And then he talks about how he's got these wonderful windows in his studio that get the sunlight very beautifully. So when the sun comes in from the windows of his studio and hits this paint, that kind of diffuses it and spreads it evenly. He took these photographs just of kind of architectural things around the studio. But they're not really about that, are they? It doesn't really have anything to do with architecture. It doesn't have anything to do with studio. In fact, when I look at them, I don't see walls and ceilings and joints where they meet. To me, it's very similar as the seascapes, as they're just kind of studies of color. These are color photographs. I know they don't initially look very much like it, but they're kind of studies of variations in tone and color and shape. They're a lot about shape. And again, minimalism. So the quickest, easiest answer when asked, again, if Hiroshi Sugimoto was in our class and I asked him, what's your big idea for your thesis project? He might, at first, he might say minimalism. I really love minimalism. So I'm going to, for my thesis project, I'm going to explore emptying the frame, really oversimplifying my compositions, thinking a lot about the elements of design, line, shape, texture, color. But you might also find, I think, if you kind of, if you dug a little deeper, and certainly if you looked at some of Hiroshi Sugimoto's other projects, I think that you would find that there's something very important about time in them as well. Now, of course, there's something important about time in just the medium of photography in general. But, the way in which the sunlight has a kind of direct effect on the types of colors and tones that we get in the Colors of Shadow obviously has a direct relationship to time. Just the act of kind of photographing these seascapes does come across with this kind of feeling of time and this immeasurable movement of the earth. And then, of course, how it relates to the moon. And so there's definitely an aspect of time that's wrapped up in this as well. So, another response that Hiroshi Sugimoto might have if I asked him the question about the big idea would be, I'd like to find different ways in which I can explore the passage of time in my photography. So I hope that helps. I want you to keep him in mind as you continue to brainstorm about what your big idea might be. And kind of absorb these things so that when you're kind of continuing to do these case studies, you can dig a little deeper and you can try to get to the root of matters rather than just kind of taking the most obvious answer right off the top. All right?